I hate when people ask me, "Why are you so quiet?" Because I am. That's how I function. I don't go ask people, "Why are you so noisy? Why do you talk so much?" That's rude. Well, that's not what I say. This quote is from famous Rowan Atkinson in one of his interviews. Some of you may start to ask, who is Rowan Atkinson? Rowan who? Who Atkinson? Well, let me give you a little bit of hint. So now, you know who Rowan Atkinson is? Yes, he's the famous Mr. Bean in almost everyone's childhood. Mr. Bean, a character who is famous because it is funny enough to make its audience from a 6-year-old child to an 80-year-old folk laugh out loud. His characters are often super funny, a little bit of weird, and sometimes cringy. So, he must be a man who is also funny, cringy, and weird in real life too. Now, think of the quote I quoted at the beginning again. Why are you so quiet? Because I am. What a contrast to his characters in comedies. When I first saw this interview, I can't help but feeling surprised because before I watched this interview and really did some research on Rowan Atkinson, I used to think he was a weird funny guy just as he portrayed in his comedies. For the first time, I began to think, do comedians act the same as they are in comedies in real life? A very good morning to Madam Nunu and my fellow classmates. Today, I'm going to reveal the true life of famous comedian and actor Rowan Atkinson and how he and his characters has inspired me throughout my 22 years of life. Rowan Atkinson was born on 6 January 1955 in Consett, County Durham, England. He has a quite normal family. His father Eric was a farmer and a company director who graduated from the Queen's College, Oxford. Eric then married Rowan's mother Ella May on 29th of June 1945. Rowan grew up in an Anglican family. What is Anglicanism? Anglicanism is a Western Christian tradition and is also the identity of the Church of England. Rowan is the youngest among his 4 brothers. One of his elder brothers, Rodney, is a Eurosceptic economist who narrowly lost the UK Independence Party leadership election on year 2000. Well, we can see that his family background is quite serious and not funny. Growing up Anglican, and there's neither an actor nor a comedian from the family. But who knows? Maybe his family likes to act and is quite humorous too? After having a peep at his early life, now let's have a look at Rowan Atkinson's education background. He was educated at Durham's Chorister School and then St. Bede's School. At secondary school, he received top grades for Science A levels, and after secondary school, he secured a place in Newcastle University, where in there he received a degree for electrical and electronic engineering. Wow, an engineer! Who would ever relate this profession to a comedian? I might be stereotyped, but although I believe there are a lot of comedians have a degree, but seldom of them have a degree in engineer. Most of them have degree in language-related courses. In 1975, he continued for Masters in Electrical Engineering at the Queen's College, Oxford, and he even became the Honorary Fellow of his college in 2006. He published his master thesis on 1978, and his publications is about the application of self-tuning control. See, I believe many of you have absolutely no idea on what his publications are about, just like me. Not to say he even continued his doctoral work for a short period before devoting fully into acting. It is actually considered a great achievement on education, especially for someone like me who even have difficulty in finishing my degree. Going through his early life and education background, you must be very curious. Not coming from acting or comedian family, study serious science and have quite high achievements in engineering field. How can Rowan pursue himself from engineering to the comedian role? Now, here's a little bit of history sharing. Don't fall asleep yet, I'll try to make it short. In August 1976, he had already written and performed sketches for shows in Oxford by the Etceteras, ETC, the review group of the Experimental Theatre Club, and for the Oxford University Dramatic Society, where he first gained attention in the Oxford Review at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. After university, Rowan began to pursue his career of acting and comedian, starting from a radio series called The Atkinson People. He did a one-off trial show for the London weekend television called Canned Laughter, and then what makes him really get known by the audience is Not the 9 O'Clock News by BBC. Okay, enough of history. Why don't we talk about the characters created by Rowan Atkinson? We all know he created the character Mr. Bean. Well, anything else? If you're old enough, you'll know Johnny English. And if you're even older, you'll know Edmund the Catter. To be honest, most Malaysians only knew Rowan because of Mr. Bean and Johnny English. Mr. Bean, a consistently unlucky man whose best friend is a teddy bear. Johnny English, a secret agent who ruined every single mission, but eventually miraculously saved the day. Each and every character created by Rowan Atkinson is the unique Rowan Atkinson comic style, which guarantees laughter in the movies. Talking about Rowan Atkinson's comic style, I believe we are all familiar with the special way of Rowan pronouncing some words. For instance,
So how can I help you, Bob? It just seemed like a funny way of saying it, Bob.
Just say the word.
Airbag. De Dion Bouton. Petrol pump.
and the stammering and stuttering when his characters talk. From this, I'm going to tell you a shocking fact. Do you know that the stuttering or stammering of Rowan Atkinson is actually because of dysphemia? What is dysphemia? Dysphemia is actually commonly known as stuttering or stammering. It is a speech disorder in which the flow of the speech is disrupted by involuntary repetitions or prolongations of words, syllables, sounds, and phrases, as well as involuntary silent pauses and blocks in which people who stutters cannot produce a sound. This means the stuttering and stammering of Rowan Atkinson's characters are not acting. They are real. In real life, we may or may not encounter some people with dysphemia. To them, talking is really a difficult thing to do. They often have fears of stammering in social situations, anxiety and stress when speaking, feelings of shame when they stutter, and this causes a very low self-esteem among people with dysphemia. If the person happens to be a kid, he or she will even become a possible target of bullying in school. Imagine you want to make friends with other children, but all you get is something not friendly, mocking, jeering, sneering, and booing. Children with dysphemia are especially easily affected. They may grow up to become an extra quiet person. They may have very good thoughts and ideas, but too ashamed to speak their thoughts just because they stutter. They have to think twice before they spoke every sentence, as they have big chances to stutter when they pronounce specific vowels or consonants, like me just now, the S. They have to replace some words with other words and rearrange words in a sentence to hide stuttering. They always have the feeling of losing control when they are talking. Not to say talking. Sometimes even reading can be a torture to them, as they cannot control themselves to stutter. We all know it is quite frustrating. It is like you're having a presentation in front of the class. You accidentally stammer a bit, and this may affect your performance all along the presentation afterwards. Imagine the embarrassment you feel at the moment. This is what people with dysphonia need to face each time they talk, even they're just having a normal conversation with others. They just can't control it. How can we imagine a person like Rowan Atkinson can become a comedian? One of Rowan's better-known comic devices is the over-articulation of the B sound, such as his pronunciation of Bob. Do you know the over-articulation is actually a technique to overcome his problematic consonants? As a person who stutters, how much of courage do he have to pick up, to stand, and to talk in front of people? Worse, to genuinely want to make people laugh and not feel ashamed. It's hard to pick yourself up when you already feel ashamed of your inabilities. To be honest, if I were Rowan, I'd be too shameful to even talk to people, not to mention to make people laugh or acting in front of cameras and audiences. Now, my first question is this a fault or a wrong thing to have flaws? People seem to feel ashamed of themselves or blame themselves for the flaws they have. Nevertheless, if you yourself don't think the flaw you have, for example dysphonia, tan skin, birthmarks, or even pimples, you don't think the flaws are flaws, who have the right to say they are flaws? Will other people's comments still affect you? Another question is it shameful or regretful when you have things you cannot or is unable to do? You blame yourself for not running fast enough. You blame yourself because you're not good in programming. You blame yourself because your drawings are bad. Is it a wrong thing you can't do something? And to my last question, if we ourselves cannot love ourselves, and if we ourselves cannot make ourselves confident of our own specialty and good qualities, will we be able to become truly confident even if there are lots of people loving and complimenting you? Rowan Atkinson inspired me that there's nothing to be ashamed of for what you cannot do. Yes, Rowan cannot speak fluently like other comedians or actors do. But what's the matter? He's a former engineer and he has the talent to make people laugh. He still succeeds and becomes one of the most famous comedians in the world. So, are you still blaming yourself for having flaws, for you have certain things you cannot do, for not knowing your own good qualities? Well, Mr. Bean cannot speak properly, but he can make people laugh. And there, he finds his own and very value of life. We should all focus on things we can do and make the things we can do to the best. Thank you for listening, and I hope Rowan Atkinson Mr. Bean's story can inspire you as it does to me. Thank you.